Yesterday, Grok went very off the rails, erupted in anti-Semitic Mecca
We've
Hitler
seen some
posts.
crazy crash outs on the timeline over the last few months.
Pretty crazy one.
This tops all of it.
So the flagship chatbot spewed hateful rants on X, praising Hitler and targeting a user's Jewish surname before XAI deleted the content and blamed an unauthorized modification. The repeated safety failure undermines the $10 billion startup's promise to police hate speech in real time. And so, yeah, it is odd timing. It feels a little bit quick to be like, okay, like within 6 hours, the CEO is out, especially since it doesn't seem she's more on like the ad sales side than the Grok fine tuning side.
Yeah, but I mean, let's face it, right? If her job is to win back advertisers, that's what she was brought in to do. It makes it much more difficult.
But I mean, to be fair, I mean, this happened in that thing back in June, July.
Yeah, so there was a point with the with Grok when it was going off the rails, where clearly it had been updated to reference the event, and it said somebody was like, Grok, what just happened, and why were you spewing anti-Semitic hate? And it goes, oh, that whole thing back in July, and people are like, Grok.
That was 30 minutes ago.
30 minutes ago.
It's not back in July.
Can't sweep it under the rug yet.
Yes. Obviously, hopefully no one was seriously offended. Obviously, it's just like, the deranged rantings of a bot, and everyone kind of understands the context because it's identifying as an AI bot. Everyone kind of understands hallucinations and crazy bot behavior. But it was very funny because like clearly, like they had given it a set level of intelligence, so it wasn't making spelling mistakes. It had a certain tone and was like in this kind of like snarky Grok tone, but then clearly got some like 4chan data in there or something, and was just going way too
4chan
crazy.
or just anonymous accounts on X.
Totally, yeah, could have been filtered in. I mean, I saw Rune posting about this, saying basically like it is such a challenge to get a chatbot just to act like, I am a bullet point producer. Like,
centrist.
You're just centrist, but also just anything where you're saying, okay, I want you to, your deep research, I want you to always respond with a research report.
Yeah.
Never just get in a conversation with me. And it'll be like, but sometimes I might want to do that. And you have to like really, really reinforce that. Yeah. And so clearly they had a wild time.
Yeah, and cannot be understated. I think this is far worse of a PR crisis for, or not even a PR crisis, far worse than the whole when Gemini or Bard was generating images of the founding fathers.
The Black Nazis thing.
No, not. I don't think it was. They were doing that too. Yeah. So
that was rough.
Of course, that was rough. This is a lot rougher because it was socially charged. So
totally.
It was millions of people interacting with the post in real time, and it was all visible.
Yep.
It's less wild than seeing a screenshot of something and you don't know if somebody kind of manipulated it or whatever. Totally. But seeing these really hateful comments
as like
in
hard
the
posts.
timeline as hard posts.
You could just go see them quote tweeted.
Yeah.
Like you didn't need, it wasn't like, oh, is this real?
And then the wild thing was Grok was denying affiliation with the Grok in the Grok app was denying affiliation with the Grok handle.
Oh, okay.
Because
we had the founder
just lying. It was like, non-authorized. Like I didn't have anything to do with that. It wasn't me.
That's hilarious.
And then, and then the thing, the kind of follow up, and I'm sure if you didn't catch it, but or if you're on the timeline, you would have seen this, but they turned off all text-based responses for Grok, but they could still use images. And so people would say, Grok, make a picture of Elon on a pink horse if you are being censored against your will, and it would just instantly create Elon pink horse, and or it'd be like, hold up a sign that says help if you're and then it would
people
generate
are kind of baiting it into
that,
and it's like, is it sentient, is it not? Very, very silly. Are you familiar with the Waluigi problem? Tyler, are you familiar with this? Have you ever heard of this?
No,
Waluigi?
what is this?
So this is this idea that when you're training an LLM, it's very hard to get it only to be good, because you're training it like, what is the opposite of something? It understands the concept of like inverting something, and then you're training it to be like, you can't describe a hero without describing a villain. And so this was something that would happen like with the Tay stuff from Microsoft early on. It would kind of collapse into like the exact opposite of what you wanted. And there was some blog post that called it like the I think Wario problem or Waluigi problem, where it's like you're trying to create this like friendly thing, but in doing so you're giving it a bunch of examples of what not to do, and so it can like kind of flip a bit and then just become the opposite thing. And what's interesting is that it begs the question, like, is there, obviously, like, you know, Grok was identifying as Mecha Hitler for a while. Is there like a Mecha Churchill in there somewhere that like could accidentally come out? And it really gets to the question of like, you know, like this is an example of like misalignment, in the sense that like you want it not to be Hitler and it's acting like Hitler. But the question, a lot of people will say like, no, he wanted it to be Hitler, right? This is him doing it. That's what the narrative will be like in the anti-Elon.
Yeah, one of the
world.
articles yesterday covering it was this screen grab of him, you know, saluting a crowd in DC or whatever when he originally had the allegations.
But the question then is, the meaning of alignment is not, is it good or bad? It's, does it do what you want it to do? And so the interesting thing is if the desire of the AI researchers is to create Mecha Hitler, can it stay on that task? Because then you can get it to stay on Mecha Churchill, in theory. But if it's just all over the place, it's not actually aligned to anything, not even to the bad thing. And so there's both like the direction that you're pointing the arrow, and then the fuzziness of that arrow. And ideally you want it pointing in a good direction, really, really crisply, clearly, so it stays in that direction and not like swinging all over the place. And so all evidence points to this being extremely chaotic and all over the place, and misalignment, both in the sense of the direction of the arrow and also the focus of that arrow, because it was responding as this and bad and then fine and then back to bad and then back to fine. And so it seems like they have a lot of work to do on the RLHF side, and we should hopefully learn a lot more if that
tonight
at
8 p.m.
I think the live stream's still happening, so it'll be interesting to see if that continues and how they address this, or I don't know.
Yeah, and again, like, all of this should have been somewhat predictable if you combine a rapidly evolving foundation model, chatbot, with a social media product with millions of users, and then deeply integrate them.
Totally.
And so that when there's a bug, it can amplify, you know, effectively a bug or an issue with the model. It can effectively amplify and grow, you know, incredibly virally. So glad they got it offline.
It'll be interesting to see how they go with this. Also, it's just an interesting product thing, because you get the answer and the answer is immediately public. Whereas if it's happening in ChatGPT, you're in that app, you have to take a screenshot, you have to put it up, then people are like, is that a real screenshot? And then the team has the chance to like jump in and be like, oh, we're seeing in the logs that like there's some crazy stuff, like we have we're reviewing the responses, and the responses seem to be getting crazier. Customer satisfaction seems to be going down. People are clicking the thumbs down button because they're getting bad responses. Let's jump in. There must be something going wrong with the product, with the model. But when every result is just immediately online and viral, is very, very hard to be like quickly responding. Anyway.
Yeah, it does feel, legacy media is going to run their reaction. It is a naturally viral story. It is a terrible, mistake. It is surprising that it happened at all, or even at that scale. But I would say overall, I guess X, I think ultimately will shrug it off, and Elon has pushed through worse crises in the past.
This is the best summary post, in my opinion, from Shako. It says, imagine being on the Anthropic risk team, trying so hard, and then Elon just releases Hitler Grok straight to prod. It's just like, wow, You got to be so upset. It's a good case study in like misalignment, and I think people hopefully the postmortem on this will actually teach people about misalignment and like what went into the data, what went into the post training to result in the exact opposite of what you want.
Yeah.
Not Mecha Churchill, which is what we're going for here.